QUnit is a unit testing tool for JavaScript. I'm guessing they called it QUnit because JUnit had already been taken. It's powerful and easy to use. The documentation is on docs.jquery.com/QUnit. It's there because QUnit is part of the jQuery project. In fact, it was created as a tool to test the jQuery library. When you use QUnit, you define and run the JavaScript tests in a web page. Tests are organized into modules, and modules are declared by calling the module function and passing a name. Within a module, tests are declared by calling the test function. You give the test a name and provide a callback to be executed for that test. Within the test, you have a standard set of assertions available. The OK assertion is used to test a Boolean condition. Equal is a shallow comparison to test that two objects are equal. And deep equal is a deep recursive comparison of two objects. Every QUnit test page starts with this template. The important things to notice are the inclusion of the QUnit style sheet, the inclusion of the QUnit script file, and the standard HTML content that's used to display the test results. Let's have a look at an example QUnit test. Here you can see the QUnit style sheet that I talked about. Here's the inclusion of the QUnit JavaScript file and the QUnit standard HTML. Then below that, I've defined a script block, and within the script block is where we write our tests. So the first thing is the declaration of a module. So I've created a new module called OK assertion, and in there I'm going to demonstrate the OK assertion. All the tests from that module definition until the next module definition are going to be considered part of that module. So here's my first test definition. I've defined a new test called passing test and supplied a callback function. Within my test function, I'm using the OK assertion and giving it a true value, which will cause the test to pass, and provided a message. The next test is the opposite. The test is called failure. Again, I've provided a callback function and I'm calling the OK assertion, but this time I'm giving it a false value, which is going to cause this test to fail, and the message will be shown. After that, I have declared a second module called equal assertion. And the tests in this module demonstrate the use of the equal assertion. The first test is called equal pass. The two parameters are the actual value and the expected value. You can see in this example, I'm comparing 1 plus 1 to 2, so obviously we expect that that test is going to pass. But then in the next test, equal fail, I'm comparing 1 plus 1 to 7. So obviously, since those values aren't equal, we're going to see a failure for that test. The third and last module is demonstrating the use of the deep equal assertion. I have two tests. The first one, which we'll expect to pass, is comparing two arrays containing the same values. The second test is also comparing two arrays, but this time the arrays have different values. The first one contains 1 and 2, and the second array contains 1 and 4. All I have to do to run these tests now is open this HTML page in a browser. QUnit will pick up all the tests that I've defined, execute them, and report the results. So here we see all of the tests I've defined. The failing tests are highlighted in this pink color. This is showing me all of my tests on the same page. If I wanted to view just one test at a time, I can double click on it. So I'll double click on this first test and I can expand the detail. So what we can see here is the name of the module, the name of the test. These numbers here represent the number of failing assertions, the number of passing assertions, and the total number of assertions. So in the case of this first test called passing test, I have 0 failing assertions, 1 successful assertion, and 1 assertion in total. Here it's displaying my test message, and at the bottom of the test suite we get overall statistics on the number of tests passed and failed and total, as well as the total execution time. Looking just at the second test now, so this was my failure example, calling OK false. Very similar to the last one. As I mentioned, it's highlighted in pink to show that it's a failure. We see 1 failed assertion, 0 passing assertions, 1 assertion in total. The third test was testing that 1 plus 1 is equal to 2, which we can see is successful. The fourth test was that 1 plus 1 is equal to 7. We can see that the test has failed, and we get a nicely formatted error message showing us that the expected value was 7, the actual value was 2, and we get a diff comparing the actual and expected values. There's also a reference to the line number where the error occurred. The fifth test was demonstrating a passing deep equality test. I compared 2 arrays containing the same numbers, and we get a successful test there. The sixth and final test, again testing the deep equal assertion, but in this case I was comparing 2 arrays containing different values, and again we see an output showing the expected values, the actual values, and a diff of the expected versus actual values. The one last feature of the QUnit output is up the top of the page. There's a checkbox marked Hide Passed Test. You can use that if you're only concerned with the failing tests.